Here are the top stories for today, February 7, 2020. The repatriation team of the Department of Foreign Affairs is now in Wuhan to bring home overseas Filipino workers. President Duterte demanded private water concessionaires Maynilad and Manila Water to return money paid by the public for water services. Over 5,000 housing units are ready for families displaced by the eruption of Taal volcano. And the Philippine Sports Commission is postponing two major events amid the 2019 nCoV scare. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The repatriation team of the Department of Foreign Affairs is now in Wuhan to bring home overseas Filipino workers. Personnel of the Philippine Consulate General in Shanghai held a consultation meeting with members of the Filipino community in Wuhan, as well as the Foreign Affairs Office in Hubei Province, to discuss details of the repatriation. As of Thursday, a total of 45 Filipinos are confirmed for repatriation. The OFWs would be checked for any symptoms of the 2019 novel coronavirus acute respiratory disease before leaving China. The team is working on a February 8 departure from China. The repatriated OFWs will be brought to the Athletes Village in New Clark City in Capas, TARLAC, where they will be subjected to a 14-day mandatory quarantine period. Procedures are in place for repatriated OFWs who will undergo a 14-day quarantine period at the Athletes Village in New Clark City in Capas, Tarlac. Health Secretary Francisco Duque on Thursday described the new quarantine site as more strategically located compared to Fort Magsaysay in Nueva Ecija, which was the first choice for the whole quarantine process. Duque said all OFWs with symptoms shall be immediately admitted as patients under investigation, while asymptomatic OFWs will be transferred to the quarantine facility. One room will be allotted per person to ensure patient safety and convenience. Each rooms have televisions, air conditioners, and refrigerators. Duque said these OFWs will be provided packed meals and other needs. Upon completion of the 14-day quarantine period, the discharge of the repatriated OFWs shall be facilitated by the Overseas Workers Welfare Authority, or OWA, in coordination with the Department of Foreign Affairs. Amid the threat of the 2019 novel coronavirus, all visitors entering Malacañang's premises are now mandated to provide information about their travel history and health condition. Upon entry to Malacañang Palace, visitors are given a declaration form that needs to be filled out as part of the protective measures against the new coronavirus strain. They are required to provide their full name, nationality, sex, age, contact number, email address, and address in the Philippines. They are also asked about the foreign countries or Philippine cities that they have visited in the past 14 days. The form also contains questions about the possibility of them being sick in the past 30 days or experiencing fever, colds, cough, sore throat, or breathing difficulties in the past 14 days. Visitors are also quizzed if they have been in close contact with farm animals or exposed to wild animals in the past 14 days. Presidential Security Group Commander Brigadier General Jose Ariel Niembra said the form is being distributed to all visitors, including government officials and employees, security detail, guests, and media workers. The 11 Filipino crew members of a Chinese tugboat that arrived in Dumaguete City on Tuesday night have been cleared of flu-like symptoms on Wednesday. Amid the novel coronavirus scare, Dumaguete Mayor Felipe Antonio Remolyo earlier announced he would not allow the tugboat and two other vessels from China to dock at the city port nor the crew to disembark. However, after a thorough examination by health authorities who boarded the tugboat, they found the crew to be all healthy with no flu-like symptoms. But for safety and security reasons, the crew will only be allowed to disembark 1 or 2 more days after the 14-day incubation period has passed, starting from the day they left China. Records show that the 3 Chinese vessels departed from the port of Taizhou in China last January 22nd. Still to come, President Duterte demanded private water concessionaires Maynilad and Manila Water to return the money paid by the public for water services. Over 5,000 housing units are ready for families displaced by the eruption of Taal volcano. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Protektahan ng sarili laban sa 2019 novel coronavirus. Ang novel coronavirus ay panibagong strain o uri ng coronavirus na nagdudulot ng ubo, sipon at maaari din ang marubhang sakit. Narito ang mga dapat gawin upang maiwasan ito. Ugaliing maghugas ng kamay. Palagiang maglagay ng alcohol at hand sanitizer. Takpan ng panyo o tissue ang bibig at ilong kung uubo o babahing. Palakasin ang inyong resistensya. Siguraduhin na lutong mabuti ang pagkain kakainin at ihahain. Iwasan ang pagpunta sa matataong lugar. Magsuot ng face mask kung kinakailangan at kung lalabas lamang ng tahanan. Kung nakararamdam naman ng mga sintomas gaya ng lagnat, ubot-sipon, hirap at pag-iksi ng hininga, ay makipag-ugnayan agad sa pinakamalapit na health facility sa inyong lugar. Kami sa Kagawaran ng Kalusugan ay kasama ninyo sa pagsugpo sa suliraning ito. Tuloy ang serbisyo at ating pagtutulungan para sa bayan.
President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday demanded private water concessionaires Maynilad and Manila Water to return the money paid by the public for water services. In a speech before newly appointed government officials, Duterte said the owners of water concessionaires were trying to reach out for a settlement after government drafted renegotiated contracts last month. However, he lashed out at the water providers anew after emphasizing they had been collecting money from the public since 1997 when the onerous contracts were first signed but failed to provide them with enough water supply. Reports show that until now, some parts of Metro Manila still experience water service interruptions.
Gusto kong malaman saan ang pera ng na yan. Give us back the money, give it back to the people, and maybe we can talk about solving your problem. It will not be the problem of this government. I am not afraid that there will be no water because I will just take over and nationalize water in the Philippines. Ganon lang yan. Marami akong sundalo. Karami akong sundalo. Sila Brigis. Sila ang pa-take over ko. There are a lot of, most of the generals who have retired are here. You go there and fix the distributor lang yan sila eh.
Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. on Thursday said terminating the Philippines visiting forces agreements with the United States at this time would most likely have negative effects on the country. Locsin said ending the 21-year-old pact may not only compromise existing Philippine-U.S. goodwill and friendly relations, but might as well affect the robust economic relations between the two countries. He said the United States is the country's third largest trading partner, largest export market, and our fourth largest import source. In terms of official development assistance, U.S. is the country's largest source of grants, amounting to more than $886 million in 2018. On the other hand, Locsin admitted that there are irritants in the agreement that need to be addressed. He assured lawmakers that the DFA has already taken steps to clarify with the United States certain items pertaining to the VFA to avoid any issues in the implementation of the said agreement. The Philippine Overseas Employment Administration decided to partially lift the deployment ban of overseas Filipino workers to the Gulf state. Labor Secretary and POEA Governing Board Chair Silvestre Bello III said, among those who will be allowed for deployment are newly hired and returning skilled and semi-skilled workers, as well as professionals. Meanwhile, the deployment ban on newly hired and returning household service workers remains in place. Bello said the partial lifting of the OFW deployment ban was due to the recent signing of the Harmonized Contract of Employment between the Philippines and Kuwait. Bello also reported that the employers of slain OFWs Jeneline Villavende has been charged with murder. President Rodrigo Duterte approved the housing units for families displaced by Taal volcano eruption, assuring them that all the challenges will be addressed. Janice Cave has the story.
President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday renewed his vow to help families affected by the restive Taal volcano to return to their normal lives. Speaking before the new presidential appointees, the president said the present challenges that are plaguing those living within Taal volcano's danger zone would be addressed.
But when there is an emergency and when there is a need to provide shelter and there is none, I always ask the military to step aside. Sabi ko lang sa kanila na, you just bear this event and let me get back to you with a beauty more. Ginaano ko na lang na talagang ibibigay ko, pero yung sa Taal, I think I have already, but of course, it's not really that near. It is far, but I think I have 1,000, I think, available. And it has served as well during the many crises that we have faced in the past. Sa Davao, may 1,000 rin ready.
The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development is readying some 5,448 housing units to be given to families residing within the 7-kilometer radius danger zone near Taal volcano. House Settlement Secretary Eduardo del Rosario said the National Housing Authority is working on the repair of the houses and the installation of electricity and water connection. He said some 187 families have already occupied the housing units in one of the project sites located in Ibaan, Batangas. The NDRRMC on Friday said the damage to agriculture and infrastructure caused by Taal volcano's eruption has so far amounted to 3.4 billion pesos. The damage was incurred in the provinces of Batangas, Cavite, and Laguna. The number of families affected by the eruption has now reached 133,696 or 501,908 persons in Batangas, Cavite, Laguna, and Quezon. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
In Sultan Kudarat, 2 communist rebels killed in a recent clash with government forces were given a decent burial by the local government. The remains of the 2 New People's Army members were retrieved by government forces at the clash site in Barangay Bugso following an encounter on January 30. Mayor Randy Esiha Jr. of Senator Ninoy Aquino Town said the LGU had conducted repeated calls through social media, radio stations, and even coordinated with the local officials of nearby towns to determine if they have missing constituents. However, nobody showed up to claim the remains. Esiha said local religious leaders were called to administer burial rites before they were laid to rest. He also appealed to his constituents to reject recruitment activities by the rebels. Up next, Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. scored kilusang magbubukid ng Pilipinas for claiming that he has no respect for the living and the dead. And the Philippine Sports Commission is postponing 2 major events amid the 2019 COVID scare. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Ika-4 ng Pebrero, nagsagawa ng cabinet meeting si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte na dinaluhan ng kanyang mga gabinete. Bungad na issue ang pagtugon ngayon ng gobyerno sa problema ng 2019 novel coronavirus o nCoV. Humarap sa pagpupulong si Health Secretary Francisco Duque III at siniguro niya na nakalatag na ang lahat ng safety measures para mapigilan ang pagkalat ng virus sa bansa, katuwang ang iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan. Labis naman ang pag-aalala ni Pangulong Duterte sa kalagayan ng kanyang mga kababayan na manggagaling sa China. Kaya ipinunto ni Secretary Duque na inihahanda na nila ang Clark City para gawing quarantine area ng mga magbabalikang OFWs. Inaasahang lalapag ang unang batch ng repatriated Filipino sa Clark Airport at sa Sabado yan, Inutusan ni Pangulong Duterte ang kalihim na personal na harapin ang mga uuwing OFWs para agad matugunan ang kanilang mga pangangailangan. Nagbabala rin ang Pangulo sa mga pasaway na barangay captains na maharap sila sa kaso kung hindi susunod sa utos ng gobyerno. Nagpaalala rin siya sa publiko na sumunod sa protocols para malabanan ng virus. Dahil dyan, inutusan niya ang Presidential Communications Operations Office o PCOO na magbabad sa pagbibigay ng tamang impormasyon sa publiko. Kasunod ng temporary travel ban ay pinatutupad ngayon ng Bureau of Immigration. Ang DepEd naman, pinaalalahan na mga estudyante na iwasan muna ang mga matataong lugar at nag-utos na rin sila na ihinto muna ang field trips para iwas aberya. Para sa latest updates, bisitahin lamang ninyo ang Laging Handa Facebook page, pati na rin ang PCOO, RTVM, PNA, PIA, RP1, IBC at DOH. Alamin at makialam, huwag magpapabiktima sa fake news. Ito po si Benji Durango nagpapaalala na sa anumang oras at pangyayari, dapat laging handa.
Southern Luzon Commander Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. scored kilusan magbubukid ng Pilipinas for claiming that he has no respect for the living and the dead. This as KMP Chairperson Danilo Ramos claims that Parlade is refusing to release the bodies of 2 communist rebels killed in an encounter in Laguna. Parlade cited the case of Armando Lazarte alias Pat Romano and also known as Ermin Belen, who was killed by government troops in an operation in Antipolo, Rizal in December last year. He said he facilitated the release of the body of the slain rebel to his relatives for a decent burial. He also said that during previous encounters with the rebels, Cristina Palabay of Karapatan and former Representative Satur Ocampo of Bayan Muna found that all the captured rebels were being treated well. KMP and its allies, he said, should respect the law rather than create a ruckus and accuse the government of atrocities or any illegal acts. Parlade said that while the military units have always been persuading NPA rebels to surrender peacefully, troops cannot be faulted if the NPAs choose to fight it out and get killed in combat. Housing czar Eduardo del Rosario on Wednesday said he is unfazed by calls for his resignation and that he will give up the task force Bangon Marawi helm only if President Duterte orders him to vacate the position. Lade Cabagani filed this report.
Reacting to allegations of some Maranao professionals for his alleged failure to reconstruct the war-torn city on time, Del Rosario told the Philippine news agency that he is not bothered by the call for his resignation as the TFBM chairman, noting the task force has accomplished so much. Del Rosario said he is confident that the TFBM has the full trust and confidence of President Duterte to continue the rehabilitation of Marawi City, noting that there are already progress in what they are doing.
Sa akin na isang dating nasa miyembro ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, there is no such thing as resignation. We base our stay in any undertaking, whether it be a civilian or military government, based on the trust and confidence of the President or the appointing authority.
The call for his resignation, he said, is just part of political peddlers' propaganda and to destroy the government in general. On March 20, 2019, a Maranao civil society group leader Dreza Baton Lininding called for Del Rosario to resign during the TFBM public consultation and forum in Marawi City. He dared the TFBM head to vacate his position once he fails in his commitment to facilitate the return of evacuees to Marawi City's most affected area by July of 2019. Del Rosario challenged Lininding to resign as a CSO leader if the TFBM could start sending evacuees back home by July. He said the debris management at the MAA is the most important project undertaken by the task force, citing the clearing of unexploded ordnances and other explosives and the demolition of the damaged infrastructures, houses, and buildings. The transfer of the remaining displaced families who stayed at the evacuation centers to transitory houses continued in July 2019. In early January 2020, the call was revived when Dr. Dimapuno Alonto Dato Ramos Jr., spokesman of the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, expressed his disappointment on Del Rosario, asking him anew to step down as TFBM head. News reports said Integrated Bar of the Philippines Lanao Sur Chapter, the provincial government, and the 80-member parliament of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao requested for an independent probe on the management of huge funds allocated by the national government for the Marawi Rehabilitation Project. Del Rosario said all TFBM funds are distributed to each task force member agencies which are implementing projects and programs accordingly.
I know pretty well kung ano yung accomplishments ng Task Force Bangon Marawi, ano yung ginagawa ng lahat ng ahensya, nakikita ko yung progress ng aming ginagawa. So I'm confident at we have the full trust and confidence ng ating Presidente. Kung sinabi ng ating Presidente, Del Rosario, you have to leave, then I go. Because I serve at the pleasure of the President and I don't serve at the pleasure of those with ill motive and vested interest in the workings of government in Marawi City.
Del Rosario, who is also Secretary of the newly created Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, assured the public that the task force is still on track in pursuing its target to complete the rehabilitation of the war-torn city's most affected area by December 2021.
We have some challenges, but everything is surmountable. That's why we are moving forward, and I can categorically say that we are on the right track based on our timeline. So we will complete the rehabilitation by December of 2021.
For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Kabagani.
Meanwhile, residents from the most affected area in Marawi City start rebuilding their homes. Christine Lynn Viajante reports.
More than 1,000 homeowners from 7 barangays in the most affected area of Marawi have received building permits from the Office of the Building Official of the local government of the city. Through Task Force Bangon Marawi's Katagumbalay, the homeowners were able to process their applications for the repair or construction of their houses in MAA.
May mga nag-apply na construction permit at saka reconstruction or repair ng bahay nila. Ongoing ito, no? Lahat ito dinaan sa Office of Building Official sa City Hall. Yung Katagumbalay, meron tayong one-stop shop. Dito, titingnan yung mga papeles nila, proof of ownership na yung lupa na patatayuan, kaya yung bahay na i-repair ay sa kanila talaga. Gaya sa Marawi, karamihan is maraming multiple claimant to minimize the problem. Tinitingnan talaga yung ownership ng lupa bago bigyan ng permit at bago sila payagang pumasok at makaayos ng bahay nila.
The Ibrahims are one of the 87 homeowners in Barangay Tolali Sector 1 who started constructing their houses last December 2019.
Nagpapasalamat ako kasi during and after the siege, nandyan ang ating mahal na Pangulo. Long wait. Natupad na po yung gusto namin na makabalik kami dito sa aming barangay. The initiative of barangay chairman na si Moamir Pantaw. Nagpapasalamat din ako sa aming mayor, sa task force Bangon Marawi dahil sa tagal-tagal na po namin hinihintay na makabalik, makarepair ng aming bahay. Ngayon, natupad na po ang aming kagustuhan.
To date, 43 homeowners from Barangay Dagudban also started to repair and rebuild their homes.
Kaya ang payo ko sa kanila yung gustong bumalik, kailangan yung mga papeles na maayos lahat para makatagumpay. Papasalamat kami sa TFBM at saka LGU.
TFBM launched Katagombalay in July 2019, which gathers concerned member agencies like the National Housing Authority, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Office of the Building Official under the Marawi City Government to allow MAA residents process all the documents before returning to their home. For PNA Newsroom, Christine Lynn Viajante of PIA Information Communications Command Center.
And in sports, two major events of the Philippine Sports Commission are postponed to protect athletes and the public against the novel coronavirus acute respiratory disease. PSC Chairman Butch Ramirez on Thursday announced that they are postponing the National Sports Summit initially scheduled for February 27 to 29 and the Philippine National Games set for May amid the coronavirus threat. Ramirez said the PSC will postpone the Batang Pinoy and Children's Games all over the country, except for pocket activities like coaches' education and consultative meetings. Seminars and other gatherings that will have groups of people exceeding 40 are also shelved indefinitely, considering the human-to-human transmission of the virus. The PSC is also looking at the possibility of postponing the 10th ASEAN Para Games scheduled this March. PPC President Mike Barredo said the fate of the ASEAN Para Games, which was already postponed from January to March, will depend on his meeting with the ASEAN Para Sports Federation in Thailand. Amid the global spread of the disease, the PSC says it remains proactive, most especially in prioritizing the welfare of the athletes and coaches who are bound to train and compete abroad for the upcoming Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The repatriation team of the Department of Foreign Affairs is now in Wuhan to bring home overseas Filipino workers. President Duterte demanded private water concessionaires Maynilad and Manila Water to return money paid by the public for water services. Over 5,000 housing units are ready for families displaced by the eruption of Taal volcano. And the Philippine Sports Commission is postponing two major events amid the 2019 nCoV scare. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am William Theo. Good day.